Good afternoon, Music World. This is episode 6 of the Music World according to the Finschise. Let's get started.
Matter of time. So yeah. Stars wearing purple, Stars wearing purple for me.
Alright, so first off today we're going to talk about kind of a new obsession for me. It's a band by the name of Gogol Bordello. They're an underground punk band that fuses the conventional sounds of punk with the world of gypsy music, which includes accordions, fiddles, all kinds of stuff, elaborate stage shows, you name it. Now, they've actually got a very strong cult following here in America, and they're apparently almost always touring. So I would just love to get a chance to see these guys in person. Now, this album here that they released, it's called Gypsy Punk's Underdog World Strike. It's actually very good. I've heard that their other albums are better, but this is a very good startup album because it kind of encapsulates exactly what this band is about. Between the wacky lyrics and the obscure music, and it's a wild ride from track 1 all the way to the end of the album. Now, as I stated on my blog, the album kind of to me had a depressing, kind of weak ending to it, but that's not too, that's definitely saying nothing against the first 3 quarters of the album, which really is just a treat and a real fun time to listen to. So I would definitely check it out, guys. Wow, this was a real surprise to me listening to this, because I've kind of grown up in the time where Kiss has become more of a joke than anything, and they've become known for being complete sellouts, and so listening to this album, this is their first album that they ever released way back in 1974. You realize when you're listening to this album, you realize that this band, at one point they actually had a lot of talent, and they on this album, it's got classics like Strutter and Black Diamond and other songs that, I don't know, to me, I wouldn't go as far as calling myself a Kiss fan now, but I have a little faith restored in the band, because here on this debut album, they were, God, it's full of glam rock influences, and, this was the beginning of heavy metal, ladies and gentlemen. So at the time, this was probably groundbreaking, and I actually rather enjoyed a lot of the albums. So if you're not a Kiss fan and you're a fan of like the early heavy metal like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, then you might want to check this out. It's got a lot of good stuff on there, actually.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end.
As you all know, here on the Music World according to the Finschise, I like to talk about music that I don't talk about on my blog. So today we're going to talk about the Doors' self-titled album, and it's gone down in history as being one of the most iconic. And for me, at least, I think it's probably the Doors' best album. After that, the Doors, they got very... in my opinion, they got very sloppy with albums. They put out, Strange Days and Waiting for the Sun, which were very good albums. But then they put out albums like The Soft Parade and Morrison Hotel, which are just overall forgettable. But their first album, their self-titled album, it's got, probably a good deal of all the songs that everybody knows by the Doors, like Light My Fire and The End and Break On Through. It's got all of those. But overall, as an album, when you look at it, it's actually a very, very decent rock album from beginning to finish. And it's probably the best you're going to get out of the Doors, and it's one of my favorites. For today's showdown, we're going to be talking about 2 albums that have been contested against the music fans for years. I'm talking about Metallica's Ride the Lightning and Metallica's Master of Puppets. Now, Master of Puppets over time has, in my opinion, has kind of won the war in between these 2 albums as far as music fans go. You always see people with Master of Puppets shirts, but you never see people with Ride the Lightning shirts. But Master of Puppets, I I think, it's good. It does have the song Master of Puppets, it's got Sanitarium, it's got Battery, and it's got some other good ones as well. But for me, overall, it doesn't do it. Because you can tell on the album that Metallica is heading in the direction that they did. And by the late 80s, personally, I think that people say that they sold out with the Black Album. Personally, I think they sold out with Injustice for All. I don't like Injustice for All at all. But Master of Puppets, for me, was less heavier than Ride the Lightning. And personally, I thought Metallica was at their best in the early 80s when they were heavier. So that's my thoughts on it. However, I do like the more semi-political aspect to Master of Puppets a lot better, actually. So that's what I do have to say about Master of Puppets. Now, Ride the Lightning came out first, and a lot of people don't give Ride the Lightning as much credit as it does. Ride the Lightning, for me, is a transition album. You caught the straightforward heaviness that the band gave you on the classic Kill Them All album, but at the same time, you got more of the mainstream feel that Master of Puppets felt. I don't want to say mainstream because Metallica really wasn't mainstream in the 80s, but you know what I mean. Master of Puppets was a little bit more radio friendly, I'd like to say. Ride the Lightning, for me, overall, I like a lot of the instrumentals better on Ride the Lightning. It's faster, it's heavier, it doesn't have the same weird lyrics that Master of Puppets has in parts, so Ride the Lightning overall, I think is very well done. Now for me, for a lot of people, I should say, this is a tough battle. But for me, honestly, it's not. I think Ride the Lightning is a much better album, which is strange, because a lot of people say that Master of Puppets is the better album with Ride the Lightning coming in at a close second. Personally, Ride the Lightning is faster, heavier, and I like that from Metallica. I don't like their slower stuff. However, I will give Master of Puppets this. Master of Puppets has my favorite Metallica song. That's Damage Incorporated. Okay, so we're going to finish up this week with my video blogs, with my albums that you should really hear on vinyl segment. Now, you probably aren't going to agree with me on this one, but that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I believe that Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits sound so much better on vinyl than it does on audio CD. Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking, that Simon and Garfunkel on vinyl really shouldn't be that impressive. Now, some of the more folky songs on the album, like Mrs. Robinson and Sounds of Silence, they're not going to sound that good. They're going to sound alright, but they're going to sound exactly like you did on the audio CD. But in my opinion, the live tracks on the album sound crisp and clear like no other place. And Bridge Over Troubled Water and The Boxer are some of my favorite songs, as well as Cecilia by Simon & Garfunkel. Some of my favorite songs sound unbelievable on vinyl. And The Boxer, for some reason to me, I never really realized how dark that song sounds in a lot of places, but you can definitely pick it out on vinyl. And, Bridge Over Troubled Water, one of the most powerful songs ever written. It just sounds even more powerful on vinyl. So, even if you guys don't believe with me or not, it's actually very well worth the listen on vinyl. Alrighty guys, so I'll be back next week. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter, check out my regular blog, and let me know what you guys think, okay?